You want to get into this thing?
I am ready to tee off. I didn't get an episode title though.
Tumbleton.
Oh, okay.
They went pretty simple today. Welcome to this episode of the Prestige-ish Media Podcast. I'm your host, Craig Lake, and with me is someone whose mom always charges a penny to touch the dragon. It's Dan McNair. Dan, how are you this evening?
I'm doing great. Here we are, Dragon Tongue and Mangleface.
There we are. We're talking about season 3, episode 4, Tumbleton. Dan, what's your rating on this episode?
I give this one a 7-7. I thought they did a good job of hopping around and giving us a sneak peek of all the different storylines that seem to be in different places. Last week was a bit of a drag in the whole like, hey, being the king isn't as great, and it kind of like heavy as the crown. It felt like a heavy episode. This one wasn't that bad, but at the same time, aversely to our first two episodes where there was a lot going on, a lot of action lord stuff, some casualties. This again was one of those setting up a lot of future things, but not necessarily delivering a ton. So that's where I get a 7-7.
Yeah, and I've got it at a 7 for the same reasons. I felt like a very good episode was bubbling around the edges, but we didn't really get any big payoffs. Obviously, there's a kill at the end, but I don't think it's a kill that really has a lot of tangible relevance.
Not going to be on anybody's Deadpool, I'll tell you that.
To at least me and you. Yeah, for sure. But the episode was good. I felt like it was bubbling in a better direction, but ultimately just fell short of anything great happening. I felt exactly like you said, like it was another setup episode. So we start out in Tumbleton. Ormond and all the soldiers are taking all of the houses. And I guess the thought process is if they take the houses, then Rhaenyra won't be able to burn the whole town down. And we see Hugh's wife, the sister of the guy that ultimately gets killed in the episode, is in one of the houses. So unsure how that part's going to play out. Ormond is taken over the head of Tumbleton's bed chambers. We get to see bare-assed Ormond early.
Looked like he had a little bit of a rash.
I didn't go that deep into the Ormond bare-ass lore.
Needs some baby powder.
He did call Rhaenyra a bitch with a dragon. And we see an assistant of sorts with dark hair, maybe a little bit of red to it, which ends up being Darren Targaryen. So that's the Targaryen we thought we were getting last episode. We hear some excuses from one of the Baratheons. Now, they're the person that turned the brother away at the end of season 1, right? It was the Baratheons, I think.
Yeah, they live on Storm's End, and both the green team and the red team are racing to solidify allegiances. And basically, yeah, Aemond is betrothed or promised to one of the daughters, and that's where Luke shows up with his tiny little dragon. And he's challenged to do the same, but he's already promised to Rhaena, so he's, I can't do that. And then tragedy follows.
And based on what you said earlier, it looks like he might have a little bit of a Storm's End problem himself.
One thing I noticed as they're getting all settled in around Tumbleton is these guys always have banners galore. And I've noticed it a lot more with my rewatch. As if you're new to this franchise in this world, figuring out the different sigils and banners can really help you figure out who we're watching a lot because they use it to establish things. But I don't know if they've got like Kinkos in Westeros where they keep printing these things off, but there's no shortage. In the last episode, they were burning stockpiles and having a bonfire with green banners, and we're going to fix it with red banners, banners everywhere. The banners merchants are the ones really making the coin here.
Banners galore, also the name of the honeypot in the new Game of Thrones 007 spinoff. We get more of a council kind of forming for Rhaenyra at King's Landing. Orwyle, who is the maester, ends up being put on the council. For some reason, she's not going to recognize the little balls of the council. I guess that's like is that how you check into meetings? I think is probably what it
I
is.
I think it's also how you recognize who is speaking because you do hear them all talking at once, and it feels if we had some sort of a little ball system, but it is also probably at some level symbolic of the patriarchy. There's a woman in charge, so nobody here can have any balls.
And breaking the wheel. Also, I think that's how Lord Beesbury was killed with one of those balls at the table. But anyway, good to see Orwyle sticking around. I had called this guy Torrid, and you were like, I think it was like Mandalay or something. It's Torin Mandalay, so we both get imaginary points there.
Wonder
But
twins activate.
they make him the master of coin, and this is where these discussions are taking place because the master of coin, they have no coin, so they're going to lay him away. It seems like Mandalay is somewhat sharp to things, so I would think he would smoke some of this out, but we'll just have to see. I don't see him being caught totally unaware of that, but maybe he also can't refuse the allure of the titles. Who's to say? Go ahead.
One other Manderley note is I was rewatching season 6, and apparently the Manderleys are from the north because at one point Sansa reunites with Jon Snow and she's trying, spoilers if you haven't seen it for the last 10 years, they're trying to rally houses and they get the Bear Island girl and stuff like that. And she's, who else do we have? And the Manderleys are one of the families with a castle up in the north that they're like rallying 16 troops from.
Also, foreboding to the Mandalorian as well. So double references there.
This is the
Uh,
way.
Rhaenyra asks, I think, Alicent for some intel on Ormond. And she seems to be like, you should know. And so all she really gets out of him is that, which is her brother thought he was cruel. And he has some sort of sensitivity to odors. So we'll see how that's got to be some including to something, but we'll see where that goes.
On the previous episode too, you see him sniffing from his little metal pot, which he thought might have been like some sort of weird opiate, but apparently it's just because he can't stand the smell of anybody or anything around him. And you also, I think here you notice that Allison is back to picking at her cuticles,
Okay. Yeah. Is
which
that something she did as a teen? Is that what that was?
yeah, it was some. I remember Otto getting on her case when it was the previous actress. Why do you do that to yourself? You are the most comely girl in the court and you're destroying yourself. And it seems like something that comes out when she's feeling stress.
It'll make you go blind, he told her. Yeah, so we do see Ormond with those metal balls again, making some sort of Bath and Body Works serum to soothe his nasal passages. Corliss, I guess this is a play on his part to try to get Alan in. If you don't take it at face value, if it take it at face value, he just wants to go fight the Triarchy for his whole life, but he sends Alan in his stead to be hand of the queen. So I guess Corliss is the hand. We don't see the actual hand pin tossed. I don't know where that's ended up in the scheme of things. I know Otto had it at one point. I don't know if it's lost to the world.
And I think at one point there might have been two of them. She might have had one with some of her council on Dragonstone, which they just abandoned.
Yeah, so interesting. But anyway, Alan, maybe part of Corliss's plan to get his sons in a more affluent position. Aegon and Larys visit his dead dragon, which, as for mentioned, there's a penny to touch the dead dragon, 2 pennies to touch it twice.
How
Dragon
many
is
pennies to whack off on the dead dragon?
he got close. The dragon in question was Sunfyre. Now, the town they end up in after that, is that where Meleese's dragon fell? Is that where that?
Yeah, so that's Rook's Rest, and that's basically the body of her dragon over the rampart, but they cut the head off because they paraded it through town midway through season 2.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Jessica Z called it a dragon fleshlight. Now,
That's right.
as far as that goes, is that where Damon was supposed to be heading to Rook's Rest, or who was headed to Rook's Rest in this episode?
As far as I know, it was just Laris and Aegon that were in that area. Daemon was going to the Vale, and we get some of that played out later.
Okay. We've got Kristen, Cole, and Gwen show up at Heron Hall. They meet Alice Rivers, who says that Aemond isn't there. After the episode and the post episode would both beg to differ with that assertion, but apparently Kristen Cole's all butthurt about it.
Explain that because so you think that Aemond is just hiding and he's still recovering from his stab wound?
I think Alice Rivers is hiding him. So you see him kind of do some sword fighting in Heron Hall in the on the next episode, and then in the after the episode, Alice Rivers kind of discusses wanting to keep control of him and or the situation and or Heron Hall. So there's an interview with her in the
Yeah,
after
I
the
was taking
episode.
it at face value when they said there was a large dragon nesting here, so maybe she just sent it away or hid it under a
Yeah,
forest floor or something.
yeah, unsure where the dragon is, but I think that was meant to make you think that Aemon was gone by saying that, but I think she still got him. And maybe I'm reading all of that wrong, but that would have been my guess regardless, but also my guess with some of the other context clues. Go ahead.
Just to back up a half step, I actually did take the bait briefly when Aegon was cuddling up with Sunfyre and he's still alive. I know it. And I'm like, this guy knows dragons, so maybe he's the dragon whisperer and it's just hibernating or something. So I actually thought there was a chance that this was going to balance those dragon scales.
Oh, hey, dragon scale humor. Yeah, I thought there was a chance to, but it seems like that's just a red herring of sorts. So
Yeah, next scene, forget about it. And they somehow get away, which it was looking grim for them in that corner.
yeah, I agree. So we didn't really get anything out of this, but besides Kristen being butthurt, but they did not know that Rhaenyra had took King's Landing.
That was cool.
So it seems like Gwane's thought is that they need to join with his brother, although that's not his favorite guy. It seems like Kristen Cole doesn't want to go that way. Maybe that's where he suggests there's somebody at some point I thought in the episode that was suggesting a run towards Rook's Rest. So maybe that is Kristen Cole. Maybe that's how we get them.
Okay, yeah, that could be.
That could be a possibility. We see Alan and Rhaenyra in it's Viserys, Jaehaerys, the old king.
That's Viserys, where he's got the model of old Valeria.
Yeah, so they're at Viserys's old chambers where he was building all the models before he was diddling a 16-year-old Allison. She'd make her watch while he build the models. There was a little topical, timely, not really humor, but maybe Iran released a video today apparently saying that claiming the death of Lindsey Graham was their fault. Did you see this at all, Dan?
Wait, who claimed it?
Iran was saying, or somebody on Twitter was saying that Iran was claiming the death of Lindsey Graham, but do you know how they delivered the news?
No, how?
Let's just say Ryan from Homelander would be proud as they made some sort of Lego video taking the responsibility for the death of Lindsey Graham. I didn't go.
I do have to say, when I first heard about it, and it's, oh, he was good 2 days ago and he got sick, and oh, now he's dead. Like, there was a little bit of me going, over in a foreign country, like that, I would like to know more.
Yeah, I think it's fair to know more. I would also say, though, that I don't think Iran claiming responsibility has anything to do with it. But if in fact it's really them and then just doing it in Lego form is freaking hilarious for,
Props to Iran.
yeah, never before heard on our podcast and maybe never again. But we are referencing there is a Lego video that Ryan used to might like to make like little Lego stop motion videos in the show The Boys, not meant as it as any political direction either way towards the death of today, which is I think no matter what side you're on, anybody dying is never great. But
But
this
Lego videos are also great, and that was
and
Craig's favorite part of the boys' 6 year season run.
yeah, we do know that's actually probably Other than Starlight, that's probably as good as it was going to get for me. It seems like maybe Alan suggests letting cats loose in the kingdom. That's how they get the rats in the ships. So maybe that's the beginning of his way in. We do get a quote from, I think, Rhaenyra that says, "Fathers and incense us," which is just interesting.
Yeah, I was wondering how that resonated in your own area because I could see both things being true.
Yeah, I guess I was just more looking at it the lens as maybe she was also just talking about his father because obviously his father called her kids bastards a million times and maybe a double entendre there. So at Rook's Rest, they get called, wasn't it Tangle Tongue and Mace? Is that what it was?
I had dragon tongue, but it could be tangle tongue.
Yeah, because I think Mangle Face is definitely Aegon. So back at Tumbleton, what was your first reaction when the guy said he needed to inspect the goods?
Stop raping, sir.
Yeah,
Right
I
off the
mean,
bat.
right off the bat, I thought it was like, it was so blatant that I'm like, it can't be that. And then he starts checking for oil, and we've got a melee on our hands. It was a very unfortunate situation with Hugh the Hammer's wife. We'll see how that plays out. We do have Ulf season town. There's like some graffiti that says Queen of the Bastards. Ulf visits his old bar. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think here we learn that Ulf can't read.
Oh, really? What happened there?
He's looking at it on the wall. What the hell is that? And they have somebody else explaining it, and he's, wait, what's that mean? What's going
Okay.
on there? So I took it as Ulf is illiterate.
That's pretty funny. We do see him back at the bar with his old friends, and they are like asking him to pay. We assume he's not getting any real coins still, so that's unfortunate for him. The guy, which was it Sin or Derek or Sir Jarek, or who was the guy that was brought to, I don't know if trial's the right word, but brought to or by the lords of Tumbleton to face. It was like
Oh, the
Garrett.
Raper. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Garrick or something close to that.
Yeah, so he was ordered to be gelded and have his arm broken. And so in the moment, you think he's, at least in this regard, trying to be a man of honor, even if it's only for political purposes. But he then just goes right to killing the brother at the end of this episode. So what do you make of that? I guess it's just to make him one of the typical, in a different way, they're all different, but one of the Game of Thrones big bads. You know what I mean? What other things do you get out of this?
There is definitely more villain than hero in him. I have a couple different names through my notes. Sir Ormond of the Glue Sniffers and Ormond of House Hitler.
Yikes.
But I think he would be somebody that we would have seen in a different time, in a different age. In Euphoria, he's a former jock that has grown up and has a car dealership, and he has a dog fighting ring at night in the backyard. Somebody looking right on the outside and a terrible, corrosive person on the inside.
Yeah, and for me, it just doesn't seem like a great guy, but I don't totally understand him. I assume they'll just make him in typical Game of Thrones universe fashion, like
Yeah, but
look as we go.
he seemed to get the more and more of this episode revealed a little bit Aryan racy, as close as they'd have. He hates women's, he hates Targaryens. Pretty much anybody that's different from him seems to be out of fashion.
Yeah, I guess that portion I took as more Lex Lutherian, if you will, of especially in the most recent movie, but it's like, why does this alien get to have these powers and I don't? And if not for this, I would be in control. So I just took it more as, yeah, it is a little race centric, but I didn't go all the way there. But I could see why somebody would go that direction. That's just not ever where my head's at. So Damon makes his way to the Vale, which I had forgot but remembered as he got here. That's where he killed his wife at that one point, right? Like,
His first wife, yeah.
and then is it the moon door that's there?
Yeah, I don't think we've seen this room in the Vale in the series, but we know it very well from the parent franchise. So as he was walking around it, I was hearing echoes from the future of make the man fly and throw him out the moon door and whatever that little teat sucking bastard was saying the whole time.
And it seems like people from the Vale are always just weird anyway to begin with.
I would say this Lady of the Vale is about as good as we've gotten.
Yeah, and she still seems like she could be on the spectrum a bit, but and I thought Damon played this pretty humorous. If you don't know the history of it, it's maybe not as funny, but just him sheepishly coming back to ask for gold and in his Damon way. So speaking of sheepish, we end up finding Syrax leads us to Sheep Stealer, and it looks like Raina like intentionally cut her hair, maybe, or like I couldn't tell if she's just been getting burned in there by Sheep
I
Stealer.
think she's having a Britney Spears moment myself. But for me, this was the best and the worst of the episode. It was the worst in the sense that, like, the Caraxes dragon AI was like HBO ran out of money halfway through it, and they decided they had to go back to like claymation and puppets. But if you watch this again, like the head doesn't match the body. I thought I was watching
That's
Land
what
of the
she said.
Lost, and the Slee Stacks were going to come after him any minute there.
I was thinking that Raina and Sheep Stealer have their own Sanford and Son trash yard and that
Bum, 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 bum. But I
Raina.
did enjoy the confrontation of Damon learning that it was Raina that was behind it all along, and her like, "Oh, I'm the kid of yours that you like the least. Just leave me be. You can do this one thing for me." And him being torn between his daughter and his wife, and who am I gonna lie to? Who am I gonna protect? How can I get out of this? That whole thing.
Yeah, put him in a pretty tough position. And what I'd like to nominate as the Helena autist line of the episode, Raina asked, when told about everything that happened, did she suffer or does she suffer? Which seemed to be like a ludicrous question to ask about Rhaenyra after her son's death. We get this dog and pony show about Raina feeling bad for herself. There's like this Raina the Unfortunate and the Raina, all of these lines and lines of any. I think we've pretty much covered that ad nauseam. I lean towards, I don't see how this can be good, Damon keeping this from Rhaenyra. I get he's trying to protect his daughter, but I don't see this going in a positive direction.
Yeah, I think we're headed down Bad Road Alley. I don't think that Reyna or that Rhaenyra would really go after Reyna hard if she had all the facts.
If she had all the facts early, I think by the time we get to where this is, I feel like Bela knew, Bela didn't say anything.
Hmm.
Now,
Damon knows.
yeah, so she's gonna feel triply scorned here. So I don't imagine that's great. We do get on tending to his sense. He gets, I think, the letter from Gwen saying that Aemond was not at Harrenhal. And so we see this cunt, probably the most outrageous cunt line read we've ever seen.
You know what this outburst reminded me of?
What's that?
Viewers and listeners of the podcast, if you've ever wondered what your host Craig is like on a roller coaster,
That's
watch this scene, listen to this language. Thankfully, you didn't take your sword out and start smashing a table, but that's what that reminded me of.
That's funny. Speaking of funny, we get Sir Ulf peeping around the corner. Did you catch that? He's just lurking.
His whole demeanor here was comedy. The way he wants to be polite but doesn't understand the exact graces, so he keeps just bowing and saying your grace and your service. And they're not even sentences, they're just sentence fragments. I wonder if I could petition bow, your grace, gold, this guy I know in a bar, your grace, bow.
And he calls these pardons for his allies, but at the tavern. And ultimately, I think this is going to be the ultimate slap to Ulf's face as Rhaenyra says he's no longer allowed to frequent taverns, which I think that's got to be the last straw for old Ulf, unfortunately.
Yeah, it could make him fall on the wagon.
Yeah, not good. We do get a kiss my feet or die type thing with Aegon. Do you think Larys was jerking it in the corner when he had to kiss his feet there? Was he secretly getting a rise out of it?
Into that, the thing that really stood out to me is Aegon's got a bucket of lard or and a bucket of piss, and he brings them back. And Lara says, "Oh, go get some food." And I'm like, "Is this dude gonna wash his hands?"
He was trying to wipe his hands with something, but it wasn't going to go great no matter what
No
happened there.
wonder he popped off.
So Damon comes back with 10,000 golden dragons, which is just barely enough for alms for the poor. And the head of the one who rode Sheep Stealer, who we assumed to be, there was like a shepherd right below the rest there that
Yeah, the
he.
goat herder. He does a Theon Greyjoy, burn the body and say that's some Stark boys.
And it seems like Massaria does not buy that. So she later asks him, and I get it, but I don't really know that I love the power struggle between Massaria and Damon. Like,
Eventually it'll get somewhere, but they've been stringing it along too far. And it's a shame that Batboy couldn't have had more of a role, but man, that scarred corpse looked like Sir Batboy of the Vale had flown his last flight.
Bat Boy, how little we knew ye. So Alicent and Rhaenyra have another confrontation of the episode where Rhaenyra says she's taken Otto to his resting place and she gives his ring to Alicent. Did Alicent give Helena the ring, or was she just trying to help Helena with her robe or
So
clasp?
I thought
Or
she was going to try and put it on her finger first. And you get that very awkward exchange, which they did explain. But the way it ended, I'm like, is that what I think it is? They don't really explain it outside the end of the episode. So after that just ended abruptly, I still had questions. Still was on the fence. I guessed it right, but I was by no means convinced that's what it was.
for some reason, I missed what they said at the end of the episode. I was assuming Helena just had a vision at that point. Okay, what is it?
So her robe didn't fit because she's preggers.
Oh, that was my second guess. That was my original guess at first, but when I saw the look with no explanation, I thought it was just her having another vision of sorts.
So that does beg the question, though, who's the dad?
Yeah, timeline wise, I would think it could still be Aemon, right?
Well,
Aemon's who's bang or is it Aegon? Oh,
so Aegon's her husband, but he was Bacon Boy for quite a while. But if you remember back, when they were kids, Aegon was like, "Oh, that one, she's a freak," and Aemon was like, "Is my duty. I would wed her." And even at a young age, he was looking at sister a little bit more than Big Brother was.
maybe it was one of the bugs or crickets that she plays with. Who knows? We'll find out if we
I
got Cricket Boy on our hands.
The live betting is open, and I think that there's some decent odds that Aemon is getting good odds.
I think that's an interesting bet. So that means he's not only kissed his mom, but banged his sister in the last little stretch here.
He's going for the tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
He's going to take on Otto's corpse next.
Now, Rhaenyra gets casually asked, I think, about. No, she gives, I think, Amelia Bedelia like instructions to the gold cloak because she tells her, I don't know if it's her king's, what is it, guard
Okay.
to get the gold cloak to find who did the graffiti and punish
Oh,
them.
right.
But she doesn't get super detailed with it. And so a public that is already unrest, it just gets marauded through by these rapers and pillagers. So I don't think this is going to go well. And she didn't really give good instructions here. Go ahead.
Yeah, my note is the King's Landing ICE unit is taking out Bansky.
I think that would be fair. So, yeah, that just can't bode well. We end up with Darren and his dragon, which Ormond has told him not to give them too much affection. He does talk about him having, I know you love my glasses.
Oh, they're the star of the podcast today.
They've been under my bed. I finally found them. I tried to get them fixed. They're unfixable, so I have to order new glasses this week.
You need an assistant that can buy you readers at Walgreens.
But I can see up close. I just can't see far away, which yeah, it is what it is.
Opposite.
We do also get a quote at one point where he talks about his mercy not being a kingly virtue. And Ormond says he sounds like his dad. And so I guess what we're led to believe is that Ormond has raised and fashioned him as a high tower, and he's supposed to carry the high tower name to the throne. And this is where we're headed. I thought we were going to get another head chopping, but we got a stab in the chest. Maybe I think I don't know that we've seen that in
We
a,
get the pokey poke. Well,
yeah.
normally people are wearing armor, just not citizens.
Yeah, and we get like a sinister, and now we begin as the dragons like, cooking him, and you get the fire on Ormond. Yeah, the ending was fine, but I just don't think it really was impactful as they wanted it to be because they were, in fact, killing a citizen. What do you got for me on this end here?
This was definitely an Ormond episode, and they seem to be leaning into him a lot this season as carrying a lot of weight here. And I think the actor does a good enough job. The mustache twirly is hard to keep track of and keep up with at times because they do make him likable and then they immediately zag you over to the unlikable. If anything, I think Darren is the likable one. This is a good episode to introduce him. He does seem to have all the good qualities of Allison in him. And there is this ongoing kind of story about how Allison's two Targaryen sons that were raised in King's Landing are both crazy and ups, and the one that she sent away to be raised in Old Town or wherever is the one that's the most level-headed, and yet here he's got this psychopath now guiding him. So I'm not really looking forward to seeing Darren turn Anakin Skywalker-y. So I hope he can retain that part of him that was questioning this, you got to kill him and you are the chosen one type deal.
Yeah, and I think you never know. I think it was season one. They kept building up the crab feeder, and that was a pretty open and shut case. I don't know if you would lay out Otto as maybe one of the big bads of end to early of last season one, season two. So if he's taking over for them, but we've seen Kristen Cole, like it seems the show's The Village Bicycle. Everyone's had a turn at being the bad guy.
Laris, definitely.
Yeah, so we'll see where this leads in, but it ultimately definitely does not seem like this is a great guy, obviously, and that he has a proclivity to claim power even over the other two kids. You know what I mean? Over Aemon and Aegon, like they're just a means to an end. That Darren's really the horse that he's put his money down on, if you will.
Yeah, so it's been a couple episodes since we've seen Aegon, and I like your theory that he's just recovering and laying low at Harrenhal.
Aemon.
Aemond, yeah, that's
Yeah,
about as good an explanation as because the whole time I'm like, well, if he did take off, where the hell is he?
yeah, I just think I don't even know that Alice told him that those people came. I could very well see that being something that Alice would keep from him,
It's just
just
his
controlling the
dragon Vagar
situation.
is hard to hide, even though they did hide it the Battle of Rook's Rest. So I guess it's possible.
Yeah, I guess that my thought would be there's got to be some type of hidey hole. All these different castles have holes under
Harrenhal
them.
hidey hole.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I still continue to look forward to the season. I think the season overall has been solid. Once again, I'm still kind of licking my wounds from last season, but this season has not belied my trust. I will say that. I think that it's done itself a good service so far halfway through this season.
And I think they've done a good job of editing. There was a lot of jumping around to a lot of different storylines this episode, and none of them felt like a real drag where it's like, oh, geez, we got to spend time here. Let's get back to the other story. I would say in season two, there was like the Damon Dream sequences or other people that were kind of grumpy and not fun to watch that we would get bogged down with. But here they give you good, quick glimpses. It's good for short attention span theater. And I like the way that moves it along, even when there's not a lot going on.
Yeah, and I know there was some unrest with Ryan Condal, who's in control of the show at this point, and George R. Martin about it not following close to the books enough, but and this season seems to be parting from the books even more, but it seems to be going better. So I think it's kind of funny because we covered A Night of the Seven Kingdoms that goes very close to the source material, other than
Mhm.
maybe it plays a little bit with tone, but it's closer to the source material, and that was very good. But this going away from the source material has really been better, certainly than when it was sticking a little closer. Although, once again, this is a text that can be interpreted many different ways because it's from different people's perspectives. So, if there's ever one to go away from the main narrative, it would be this one. But still, George didn't like that, and there seemed to be a little of an internal battle there.
And that's odd because I think it's just how much influence George had. There were parts of Game of Thrones that did not follow the text at all, too,
Yeah.
that
Well,
maybe he was just more on board with because he hadn't written that ending of it.
and I think he was stacking so much money then, and he was still involved. Obviously, there had to have been some type of parting here. The HBO budget's not what it used to be, that old gray mare.
So they're like, no, we're just going to do our own thing. Definitely, you saw the HBO budget with Caraxes in the Barney the dinosaur outfit or whatever the hell that was.
Even the Iran Lego claymation thinks that this episode was poorly made. So, yeah, we'll see where the rest of the season goes, but looking forward to it. Anything else from you as we wrap up?
No, but also follow your Dark Side of the Ring coverage. And I'm getting ready to watch an episode of Big Brother too
Oh, how
that we
about
do
that?
not cover, but me and the lady are doing a fantasy draft for that.
Bird, who is on our Dark Side of the Ring coverage, is probably watching as well. Maybe get a hold of him. You guys can link up that way.
Okay, yeah, you guys really covered that last episode in detail. I faded in and out a couple times, but stuck with it till the end. I
Did
was at
you
work too, so I needed a nap.
did you watch the episode, or you're just getting our coverage of it?
I didn't actually watch the episode
Okay.
itself. I don't even know where to find it.
I thought it was maybe free on Vice, but yeah, glad you're tuning in. Our midget talk got a little demonetized online.
Oh, did it?
TikTok and YouTube didn't want to pass that around the album, but I thought it was probably the funniest part of the episode.
It's not
But
like you were showing midgets jerking it in a trash can,
we're
but
just covering what we saw. I don't know what to tell you.
if only
So
the midgets covered it, then it wouldn't be an issue.
that's what I was saying.